Glad you could join us for a news bulletin. My name is Tandi Wemzumara. First, the headlines. Pope Leo XIV encourages Catholic community in Barcelona to be witnesses and prophets of unity. Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC raises concerns over timing of former state residence's chief of staff arrest in Amaryllis Hotel probe, calls for full transparency in accountability process. Parliamentary Committee on Trade and Tourism commends Reserve Bank of Malawi and India for boosting gold purchases, industrialization and export growth. And in other news, Kenyan police fire tear gas at protest against United States Ebola quarantine center plan. We do have the details of these stories and more to stay with us. Pope Leo XIV dedicated Tuesday morning to thanking the thousands of volunteers who helped organize his apostolic journey to Spain before heading to Barcelona to touch the ancient traces of the country's deeply rooted Christian faith. At the Cathedral of the Holy Cross and St. Eulalia, whose construction began at the end of the 13th century on the site of early Christian and Romanesque churches, and which became a century later one of the most important jewels of European Gothic architecture, the Pope prayed midday prayer with about 500 faithful. We have more details in this EWTN news report read by Phallus Chisombe.
In his homily, Pope Leo XIV called Catholics to be builders of communion. It was the first time during the trip that Leo XIV pronounced several phrases in Catalan, the language proper to Catalonia co-official of Spanish, and the main language of the regional administration. The Pope structured his homily around the image of the Catholic Church as both beloved bride and body, with all believers as members of a single organism. He said the Spirit impels us, as parts of the single living structure, not only to give ourselves unreservedly wherever providence calls us, but to do so according to God's designs, in obedience and trust. He continued to say that just as in a body, so too among us there are members who are stronger and others who are weaker. Some are visible, performing functions that are evident to the outside world, while others are hidden, working from within, in some cases without ceasing, and carrying out vital functions without anyone taking notice. The Pope said there are many possible images to illustrate the variety and importance of the roles and missions we find among ourselves, but the message is always the same. The Pope ended his homily by invoking Mary in Catalan.
The Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC has raised concerns over the arrest of former state residence's Chief of Staff, Prince Kabonda Mgaga, in connection with the controversial purchase of Amaryllis Hotel by the Public Service Pension Trust Fund, PSPTF, urging authorities to ensure transparency, due process, and equal application of the law. HRDC Chairperson Michael Gayatsa says while the coalition supports efforts to hold accountable all individuals implicated in the misuse of public resources, such actions must be guided strictly by evidence and the law without fear, favor, or political influence. Charity Chilanga has filed this report.
HRDC Chairperson Michael Gayatsa has welcomed efforts to hold accountable those implicated in corruption cases, saying no one should be above the law. However, he has expressed concern over the arrest linked to the Amaryllis Hotel transaction, questioning its timing since the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee PAC report has not yet been released. Kayata said Malawians are still waiting for Parliament's findings on the pension-funded deal and wonder that acting before the report could create perceptions of unfair or incomplete justice. He also raised concerns about possible selective justice, noting that multiple actors were involved and all should be investigated based on evidence.
police have effected an arrest of Mr. Priska Pagangaga before the Parliamentary Accounts Committee have released their report. Our expectation was that the committee would be allowed to finalize their investigations and then allow the public to have access and appreciate the contents of the report.
Kapunda Mgaga was summoned to Parliament over the Maurice Hotel matter, but the committee had not concluded its inquiry at the time of his arrest.
The Parliamentary Committee on Industry, Trade and Tourism has commended the Reserve Bank of Malawi and the Export Development Fund for promoting industrialization and export growth through increased gold purchases from artisanal miners and support towards value addition initiatives in the country. Chairperson for the Parliamentary Committee on Industry, Trade and Tourism, Akim Kumwenda, made these remarks during an interface between the EDF and the RBM at Parliament Building in Lilongwe on Tuesday. We have more details in this report filed by Gift Kalunga.
Kumwenda said there is need to strengthen support towards local industries and small-scale miners to enhance production and increase exports. He observed that empowering local producers can contribute significantly to economic growth and job creation in the country. He further commended efforts being made to promote value addition and industrial development, saying such initiatives have potential to improve foreign exchange generation and support Malawi's long-term economic transformation.
I would also want to commend them for the growth in the equity from 1 billion thereabout to 122 billion. Simply put, this means there is money available for export development for whoever wants to invest so that they can boost our exports and then reduce the export-import negative balance that we are always struggling.
Managing Director for Export Development Fund, EDF, Frederick Chanza, said the institution remains committed to supporting initiatives that promote industrialization, value addition, and export growth in Malawi. He said EDF will continue working with various stakeholders to empower local businesses and create opportunities that can contribute towards economic development and increased foreign exchange earnings.
Our plan is that we expand the industrial base of Malawi so that Malawi can export more. And with that export, because it's processed, there's more dollars that come out of such projects. We are also into supporting fertilizer production, which is import substitution.
Meanwhile, the Export Development Fund, EDF, has appealed for stronger collaboration among institutions and the public in protecting the country's mineral resources and promoting formal trade systems. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
As part of government efforts to improve access to quality healthcare services, the Ministry of Health and Sanitation has officially opened Chinsabo Health Center in Lilongwe. The development comes at a time when many communities across the country continue to face challenges in accessing essential healthcare services due to long distances to health facilities and increasing demand for medical care. Alison Banda has more details.
The new health center is expected to ease pressure on existing facilities, reduce travel time for patients, and bring vital healthcare services closer to people living in and around Chinsapo. Speaking during the official opening of the ceremony, the Minister of Local Government, Dr. Ben Malunga Piri, described the facility as a significant step towards strengthening the country's healthcare system and ensuring that more Malawians have access to safe and quality healthcare services.
Do that infrastructure is one enabler. The second one being human capacity. As you can see, the coming in of this building has come as well with staffing. that which will lead to provision of quality services to our people. So on behalf of the Ministry of Health, and indeed my ministry.
In his remarks, Deputy Minister of Health Charles Chilambula said the opening of Chinsapo Health Center Care demonstrates government's effort to expanding healthcare infrastructure and bringing essential medical services closer to the people. He said the facility will help to address challenges faced by residents who previously had to travel long distances to access healthcare, while also reducing congestion at nearby health centers and hospitals.
We are pretty honored to have this facility established here. A lot of people will be assisted here. As you know, this is one of the areas where it has a higher population. Over 75,000 people are here in Chinsapo. So in the past, they used to go to buy other facilities to get the care which they are.
The opening of the facility is expected to benefit thousands of residents in Chinsapo and surrounding areas, marking another step in government's effort to strengthen healthcare delivery and ensure that quality services are accessible to all Malawians. For Luntha Television, this is Alison Banda.
The Tobacco Commission has said it is encouraged by the recent improvements being recorded on the tobacco market, with auction tobacco sales continuing to increase across the country. Tobacco Commission spokesperson Teleforest Shigunembe made the remarks while commenting on the latest developments in the 2026 tobacco marketing season. We have more details in this report followed by Judith Oken.
Speaking in an interview, Chigunembe said the industry is registering positive progress, as rejection rates at auction floors have significantly reduced compared to previous seasons. He explained that rejection rates previously ranged between 80 and 98%, but have now dropped to between 20 and 40%, a development he described as beneficial to both farmers and the tobacco industry.
As Tobacco Commission, we are pleased with recent developments on the market, where auction tobacco sales are on the increase. This is good for the industry, and this is good for our farmers. We are coming from a situation where auction tobacco rejection rates ranged from 80 to 98%. Now, 20 to 45%, 20 to 40% rejection rate signals that we have a positive trend on the market. It is our hope that this will continue up to the end of the marketing season. Of course, it is our wish. We'll be very pleased to see the rejection rate come down to 5% or below.
The Tobacco Commission has since expressed hope that the positive trend will continue throughout the marketing seasons, with authorities aiming to further reduce rejection rates to below 5% in order to maximize farmers' earnings and improve the performance of the tobacco sector. For Luntha News in Lungwe, this is Judith Ogan.
Remember that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center. Before we proceed, let's have another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV encourages Catholic community in Barcelona to be witnesses and prophets of unity. Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC raises concerns over timing of former state residence's chief of staff arrest in Amaryllis Hotel probe, calls for full transparency in accountability process. Parliamentary Committee on Trade and Tourism commends Reserve Bank of Malawi and India for boosting gold purchases, industrialization and export growth. And in other news, Kenyan police fire tear gas at protest against United States Ebola quarantine center plan. Proceeding with the news, the Higher Education Students' Loans and Grants Board is urging students to carefully follow all guidelines when applying for higher education student loans. The board's communication manager, Mili Kasonda, has made the remarks following the opening of the 2026-2027 Higher Education Students' Loans application window. Emmanuel Shiwocha has filed this report.
In an interview with Luntha television, Kasunda said the application process is progressing well and now has reached its third week, with about 15,000 students having submitted their application so far. She described the process from students as encouraging. However, Kasunda noted that one of the major challenges being encountered is that some applicants are not following the instructions provided during the application process, leading to errors and incomplete application.
More issue that is happening at the moment is that applicants are not eager to read the instructions. So what they are doing is just to resort to calling officers from the loans board to help them. When the loan application system is actually self-explanatory, if they are to read the instructions, they'll be able to navigate from one section to the other.
The Higher Education Students' Loan and Grant Board is further emphasizing that Students' Loan Program remain a critical tool in expanding access to higher education for deserving students. She said adherence to application guidelines will help to ensure eligible applicants are not left behind and can access the financial support needed to pursue their academic ambitions and contribute to national development. For Luntha News, this is Emmanuel Chiwocha.
In sports, the Netball Association of Malawi NAM has received a significant boost following the official handover of the Queen's House by Nico Group. Speaking during the handover ceremony in Luntha, NAM President Vitumbiko Gubuduza described the Queen's House as a transformative investment that will enhance player welfare while easing the association's financial burden. We have more details in this report filed by Patrick Popper.
The facility located in Blantyre will serve an official home of the Malawi Queens during local training camps, providing accommodation and a conducive environment for preparations ahead of major international competitions. Gubuduza said accommodation has always been one of the major challenges whenever the Malawi Queens are in camp.
They would have to go there for an hour because they need to shoot at least 1,000 baskets per day. Right. Now, they don't have to travel to Cohes. They can actually just try to make some shots here. Okay. So, this is a home. It's also conducive environment for them to be able to train while at home. And in the future, I hope, just like the CEO has said, they'll also be able to build a netball court outside. So that's great for them. And we're inviting teams, not just netball teams, football teams, any other teams that would like to camp. They can come here.
Nico Group, through Aries Properties Chief Executive Officer Washington Chimuzo, said the property has been leased to Netball Association Malawi NAM for an initial period of 3 years with an option for extension.
We're excited for the netball queens, the Malawi Queens, the national netball team, that they finally have a home. And so our message today is just to celebrate with them on this development. This means a number of things. It means opportunities. It means impact. It means that we're making an investment that's going to last not just one generation, but many generations as well. When we talk about opportunities, it means that the team finally has a place where they can be able to train, a place that they can call home.
With the establishment of the Queen's House, the Netball Association of Malawi is expected to save approximately 75 million annually in accommodation costs. For Luntha News, this is Patrick Cooper.
Now, in other news, police in Kenya fired tear gas on Tuesday to break up a protest in the central town of Nanyuki against the construction of an Ebola quarantine center for United States citizens. Small groups of demonstrators who were waving Kenyan flags, carrying placards and holding a coffin with the word Ebola written on the side were demanding the plan to be reversed. Last week, 2 people died after being shot as police dispersed similar protests. We have more details in this BBC News report read by Thalis Chizombe.
The US plan has sparked public concern about cross-border infection risks and the lack of transparency from the government about the treatment center. Last month, the High Court said the opening of the facility should be halted after a rights group opened a case alleging it posed grave and imminent risks to public health. The proposed 50-bed isolation center is to be staffed by US medics and is intended to treat Americans affected by the current Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. A US official told the BBC that Kenya was selected due to proximity, airports in the region having limited capability, and to ensure Americans can be treated in a timely manner. The Congolese city of Bunia, the epicenter of the outbreak, is 780 kilometers, which is 485 miles from Nanyuki, with Uganda separating DR Congo and Kenya. DR Congo has so far recorded some 600 confirmed Ebola cases and 100 deaths. Kenya has not recorded any cases. President William Ruto defended the plan, saying he had received a request from the US to establish the center and a refusal would be inhuman. He called on Kenyans not to politicize a matter so serious as Ebola, asking politicians to avoid reckless talk about it.
We now give you the weather update compiled by colleague Charity Mapondo.
Hello and welcome. It's time for weather update. But firstly, let us look at the observed minimum temperatures. So, Chitedze reported the lowest minimum temperature of about 9 degrees Celsius, but Vumbwe, Dedza and Kia reported about 10 degrees Celsius, while Bolelo and Chichili reported about 12 degrees Celsius. We should expect cool to cold conditions with fog patches, especially tonight and early in the morning. Mostly sunny conditions are also anticipated across most areas. Mwela winds are expected to continue blowing over Lake Malawi and other water bodies. Therefore, all users are advised to exercise caution at all times. All these conditions are due to the influence of fairly moist southeasterly air mass from the Indian Ocean into our country. Therefore, tonight expect clear skies across most areas, but tomorrow morning cool to cold conditions are expected over the country. Chitipa is expected to reach a minimum temperature of about 15 degrees Celsius, 14 over Mzuzu, 19 in Katabe, but Lilongwe will reach about 11 degrees Celsius, Blantyre 12 degrees Celsius. The same morning, expect some few clouds over some areas, but isolated showers are expected over some northern lakeshore areas such as Karonga. In the afternoon, expect warm conditions over most areas. Mzuzu is expected to reach a maximum temperature of about 22 degrees Celsius, 27 over Mzimba, 25 Lilongwe, while Blantyre will reach about 24 degrees Celsius. So the same afternoon, expect occasionally windy and of course mostly sunny conditions over the southern, central as well as northern areas. On Thursday, similar conditions are expected, whereby most areas are expected to experience mostly sunny conditions and of course warm to hot conditions in the afternoon. Thanks for watching. I'm Charity Mapondo. Be wise, be weather-wise.
That weather report also brings us to the end of our news bulletin, but before you go, here's another look at the headlines. Pope Leo XIV encourages Catholic community in Barcelona to be witnesses and prophets of unity. Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC raises concerns over timing of former state residence's chief of staff arrest in Amaryllis Hotel probe, calls for full transparency in accountability process. Parliamentary Committee on Trade and Tourism commends Reserve Bank of Malawi and EDF for boosting gold purchases, industrialization and export growth. And in other news, Kenyan police fire tear gas at protest against United States Ebola quarantine center plan. My name is Tandi Wemzamara. Thank you for keeping me company, and do continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Goodbye for now.